What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. Today's episode is, as always, brought to you by Off the Record. We love Off the Record over here at TST. And I had not one, not two, three emails this week from people who used Off the Record and got tickets fully dismissed. Different states, different people. It was a lovely thing to see Off the Record doing their job. If you get a moving violation of any kind, big or small, in the U.S., get Off the Record. Go to offtherecord.com/TST or download the Off the Record app and use code TST Pod, TSTPOD. From there, Off the Record will fight that ticket on your behalf and in the vast majority of cases, get it totally dismissed or drastically reduced. Off the Record is the best. You got to have it in your pocket, ready to go. That way, if you get pinched, it's no big deal. You got people in the game. Again, offtherecord.com/TST or code TSTPOD, TSTPOD on that Off the Record app. Do it. Now, it's a crew show. We're in studio. I'm talking about the new Ford Explorer ST. Plus, we talk our final thoughts on the Ineos Grenadier and the Cadillac Blackwing with Precision package. There's a lot going on. Plus, my demand Spyder does a weird thing. We talk about what that weird thing is. We take a look at Bashar al-Assad's car collection, which is, if you ask me, not bad, and a whole lot more. It's the Smoking Tire Podcast. Let's go. Did you see? I mean, I gotta say, I love Kyle Connor. He's a good friend. Mm-hmm. He's a good fellow industry person. Does a good job with his channel. One of the funniest posts in the fucking history of posting was him bragging about Model FSD, whatever, 4.26, whatever the fuck is. He's like, this FSD is incredible. Someone's got to, if everyone's not doing this, they're really missing out. And then like 3 minutes later, it was like, it drove into a it drove into a curb.
Man, he is. Oh, this is old. I don't know, but yeah, that was the thing. He was like, "It's incredible! Oh my god!" There were so many. It was so funny because you sent that to me.
Yeah,
and so
it's in your text.
It's in my text in the morning, and then when I went to YouTube later, there were a bunch of posts being recommended about new FSD is game changing world. And I was just like, I had this text though. And that's the AI answer. You know, YouTube algorithm is saying, new FSD is perfect.
New FSD seems game-changing right up until it drives into curb is the headline. That's your headline. You need a complete headline.
That's always the headline with FSD.
I thought it was game-changing, and then it drove into a curb. So, yeah. Fucking Waymo is like dumping Jaguar I-Paces into this neighborhood. Dumping them. They're all over the place. We got. Can you look on the App Store? I feel like a kind of an idiot right now, but like, how do we get a Waymo?
I think we just
have to get the app, and it's like, and then it's like an Uber.
Waymo One, autonomous ride hailing.
Yeah,
get the app.
I think we need to do a. Should we do a show from a Waymo? How do we make that work?
Well, we could definitely do a video. I mean, I think it could be.
We could probably
anti-robo-taxi.
Alex Roy probably knows the head of PR at Waymo. We could probably just like actually, like, we probably don't. I mean, okay, let's assume the app works for calling one, but like, we could probably just like get one for what we need it for, rather than just like hail a ride that's like 8 minutes somewhere. We could like actually set up cameras and
we book it. We pick a ride an hour away.
Oh yeah,
I think we like go. All right, let's go get lunch downtown.
I don't know the ODD. I don't know where the borders are, where they can't go.
That's true.
I don't know if you can go across town. You might be able to like not go very far.
I don't know. We'll find out.
We'll have to figure it out. But I'd like to. I'd like to do a podcast in a real level 4 autonomous vehicle.
100%. Well, I wanted to go for a ride when they did the test market here, but it was like I didn't realize they were only doing 1 day per neighborhood. That was like 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And it was like Waymos have arrived in Santa Monica, and I said, "Oh, we should do a show." And then it was like they're gone. Now they're downtown. Now they're Pasadena, but now they're here.
But we're us. We also don't have to just like do the thing that.
But I think it's better to get the real experience. You know?
No, we should. We should. But for what we really care about, the experience is what happens once you get in the car and close the door.
Right.
Not necessarily the hailing of it.
Oh,
that's a good.
Yeah,
it's good consumer
fair.
advice, but it's
True.
not where like you and I are focused.
Right.
Like that has been solved in software.
But
I'll give Waymo that they can make an app that's like Uber that works.
No, totally. But I think there's a honesty to if we just order one versus if we contact PR, let's say this is speculation, they set up like a code and then they
juiced Waymo,
or someone's control. You know, then
that's
it's like
true.
has
They
it
might
been
give us a
meddled?
dedicated, backup driver.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like instead of the guy watching like 6.
Yeah. No, I think we
Waymos
should do it as the public would do it.
Right.
And we just pick the furthest location or multiple errands or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's probably right. That's probably right. I
happens.
guess I was trying to like have it so we could create a little better content as opposed to like hand holding all of it.
Oh, I think we can still set up cameras. Oh, yeah. No. I'm not saying
You
we
do?
just. Oh, yeah. We're coming in there with suction cups for sure.
You think it's suction cups or clamp mounts? You have to bring both.
We need. Yeah. We'll just have everything in the backpack and just.
Yeah. Yeah.
If we can pick us a route that is an hour or 45 minutes,
right?
It'll take us 3 minutes to set up cameras.
And at what point do we start,
do it.
like doing really obscene things back there?
I need a pay raise. What are we talking about? Soup kitchen? What are we talking about here? I mean, you want to try to mess with it? Is that?
Yeah, I was thinking maybe mess with it a little bit.
Sure, we should try.
See who's watching. You never know.
Cover a random camera and see what happens.
Yeah, what is the line between someone coming over the speakerphone and be like, sir, you can't do that, and like the thing driving to a police station? Like, where does that line?
I feel like its defense mechanism is to stop, right? People put the cone on the hood, it stops.
Yeah, just right in the middle.
Stops.
Right in the middle of the intersection. Get out.
Right. Yeah, that's all it can do is make you feel uncomfortable by sitting still.
Yeah, but like, do you smoke a blunt in there? Do you, take your pants off? Like, what level of, are we going for here? Do you like brandish? do you start
You do that. I'm not doing that. That's illegal.
Well, I mean, who are you pulling it on?
That's what I'm saying. Exactly.
What if you just start cleaning it?
Oh, can you brandish at a robot? If there's no one,
Yeah,
this is like if there's no one around. Does
Pretty
the tree
soon the
hear
Supreme
the
Court is going to make it so like robots are people. It's like instead of citizens united, it's going to be like computers united.
Yes, everyone's
All of
a
sudden,
person except for people.
corporations and robots are now people. Humans are now not.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Whoa, what's happening outside?
I heard you. The robots are coming.
Man, fuck.
It'll be fun. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, we're going to be, critical of its driving ability and its throttle application and lane choice. I bet it will have better lane discipline than most people. Everyone who turns right at a light tracks out, right? Everybody likes to track out after apex, but you're technically not supposed to do that.
I mean, this is not data, what I have witnessed with my own eyes, but there's there's so many of them in the neighborhood that I brought this up. This was not a planned topic. I was observing them, and I think it was just shift change when I was driving over here, or they go to bed at like 4 p.m. Whatever.
Battery change.
Yeah, whatever it is, because there was a line of 4 of them in a row going to, I think, turning up Sepulveda, which I think is where the depot is somewhere up there. But
Eva, did you watch Wall-E?
Yeah. But yeah, we should get rides.
Yeah,
definitely. But I think you're right. We have to make sure they haven't juiced the fucking.
Yeah, we'll figure out the operational area and then see how far we can go, or just do it at rush hour. Doesn't matter if it's 2 miles; it's still going to take 40 minutes.
I haven't seen any of them do like anything really, really crazy in front of me. One this morning between the house and here, really, it was like it tried to move into the left lane to turn left, but like way before it actually needed to turn left. And it was kind of like slowing up traffic to do that. Like 3 lights ahead of, because I kept being there. It wasn't like terrible, but it was
like it moved into the left middle lane, but
no, not the center turn lane.
Okay.
Like it moved from the middle lane to the left lane at a time of high traffic, like creating like a little bit worse traffic for a minute, even though it didn't need to make that left for like a long time.
Oh, I get you. I get you. Okay.
It wasn't not a fatal error.
You know what? People would do that.
Yeah. It wasn't the worst.
What if they programmed in some flaws to mimic bad driving? They're like, this will make the humans
like
more
Hyundai's shift.
Yeah. Oh, you mean like the sounds?
Yeah, like the paddles and
exactly.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Make the
fake humanize
the robot.
Enhance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what type of human would you like? Criminalize.
now we're in Demolition Man.
Have you seen De Niro, Taxi Driver? Your driver has nothing to live for and $3.25 credit.
Oh, that's funny. You upload different drivers. Jason Statham in Transporter 1.
Your driver did not take their meds this morning. So anyway, cars. Mm-hmm. There's some things happening. We can just go right to the emails that we got as follow-ups from last show.
Yeah.
Folks, we got to take a quick break, and the holidays are here, and it's time. This is the best. This is the best gift for your parents, your grandparents, or other family members, particularly if they are not the most tech savvy. Right? It's weird to get them a tech-adjacent gift, but the Aura Frames is perfect because it's tech, but it's easy, and it doesn't require the person you give it to really do much of anything. I've got my parents on the other coasts. I've got my siblings on the other coasts, and Zach just got married and needed a way to effectively give photos to his parents and his new wife's parents. Auraframes.com. It's the Carver mat frames. Okay, basically, here's how it works. You give them the frame. It's connected to an online account, which you put pictures in. The frames then appear in their house. Did I describe that exactly
you nailed
right?
It. We did it. It was fairly simple, and we were able to give my mom this frame that just played wedding photos for her. And
right.
We can add the photos, we can take them away, and we gave her access on the app, and she can do it. She's tech savvy enough to do that. But we were able to just curate this thing instead of printing a photo album that will sit on a table or any of that stuff. It's way better.
If you got kids and you got parents, right, you just dump the photos of the kids and then the grandparents get them. Mm-hmm. It's like totally instant. It takes like 2 minutes to set up. It's got free unlimited storage. The photos look like real prints in the frame. You can send videos and photos from any device, and they'll instantly appear in the frame wherever it is in the world. No memory cards required. It is awesome. Save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com. That's AURA frames.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver mat frame using promo code TIRE at checkout. That's AURA frames.com. Promo code TIRE. This deal is exclusive to TST listeners, so get yours now in time for the holidays. Promo code TIRE. Terms and conditions apply. Now, back to the show. There is an email from our friend David Twig, who knows a thing or two about how cars are built and how they work.
A little bit.
And this is a very long email. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but we were discussing the Ineos Grenadier specifically, and we're not going to. I'm not hating on that car specifically, but a lot of the new European cars are. All of them are mandated to have these ADAS features, and a lot of them are not doing a very good job of making the features very easy to turn off, which is what people who care about driving want. So we asked, is that intentional or not, basically? And the answer is, so David says, and this is, I'm not going to read the whole email, but I'm going to have to read a lot of it because it's not straightforward, right? The question is, do car makers have to bury the off switch deep in the menus? And the answer is no, they don't. The Euro regulation basically requires that when you start the car up, the ADAS features are on. They do not require that it's hard to turn them off. This stuff is new, and so everyone's trying to figure out like what level of difficult it should be to turn them off. They're all kind of taking their first stab at it, right? And the car makers are worried by the possibility of someone inadvertently turning the system off, having a crash, and then suing them for the accident, right? So like even though in Europe they're like less litigious than in the US, they're catching up. And so at least the automakers are concerned about the lawsuits or the possibility of lawsuits. So, certain companies are willing to make it a little easier to turn them off, and other companies are not, based on their like level of tolerance for that. There are other options. So the more cautious car makers have buried their off switches deep in the bowels of the infotainment, fully conscious that it will annoy many customers, but terrified at making a legal error. Happily, others have tried to better balance their fear of litigation with trying to keep the customer happy and have come up with better solutions. BMW, for example, lets you press and hold the cruise control set button for 2 seconds to turn the system fully off, and Ford has done something similar. Renault, and hopefully this will also mean Alpine, have a dedicated, quote, my safety button that needs to be pressed and held to do the job. No messing with menus. JLR has done something similar. Some others, including Hyundai, for example, have added a programmable, quote, favorite button on the steering wheel that can be set to execute certain regular functions, including disabling ADAS. So, which actually Ineos has that favorite button, but it doesn't get you all the way. It just gets you to the menu to disable the ADAS.
I still appreciate, because it's a hard button. I know where it is, and then the screen pops up. I have some other complaints about that, but we'll get to it after.
Right. Better than nothing, but that's their solution. And remember, Lynn said that she was trying to come up with an update to program the turn off all ADAS to the favorite, so removing that step, hopefully maybe an over-the-air update or even a hard update at some point there. And so, yeah, there's he then goes on to say ADAS sucks ass except for automatic emergency braking, which is genuinely a lifesaver, typically doesn't ruin the driving experience, and you never really know it's there until you need it. And the good news is AEB is generally not disabled when you turn off the rest of ADAS. So, Thank you, David. Yeah. That is a excellent, thorough answer.
Yeah, the Ineos is weird because it has, speed limit recognition ability, but it's wrong a lot. What?
Ineos.
What did I say?
Ineos. It's a fine line. It's a fine line.
Ineos.
You must speak,
the Grenadier.
You must speak this acronym exactly as.
What does it stand for? I'll pronounce.
It doesn't stand for anything. Oh, the whole company?
Yeah.
Oh, it's like International.
Inspec Ethylene Oxide and Specialties. Okay.
So the rolls off the tongue.
The Inspec Ethylene Oxide and Specialties Grenadier has speed limit sign recognition, but it was wrong a lot. Now, it wasn't just wrong. I was on the highway. I drove it to San Diego, and plenty of times it would see that 55-mile-an-hour limit for trailered vehicles, and it would then beep at me and say, hey, you're going faster than 55. But a couple of times out here, it thought I was on the highway, and it thought I was on the road underneath the highway. And it's like, hey, you're going over 40. And I went, well, I know I'm going over 40. I'm on the freeway.
That happened to a couple of our EVs. One of the roads that we drove in Performance EV of the Year for testing ran right alongside like Route 17. Mm-hmm. Same kind of thing. Like it was elevated highway, and then the road, and the speed limit thing kept getting confused and think we were on one or the other.
And I'm sure they can update that and fix it, but that was just the only real
speaking thing. Of which, I don't know how comfortable you are talking about this. I'm going to blow up your fucking spot anyway. I was wrong about what the quartermaster is, and maybe someone reached out to you because I thought the quartermaster is like master of quarters, like an estate manager. We joked about that on the show we recorded in the car. It's actually the person who gets the guns.
Oh, no way. Are you serious?
Yes, it's the person who has all the guns. And so
when I drove down to San Diego to go to a store
to get your gun,
the quartermaster, that is amazing synchronicity. Oh man,
you use the truck as the good Lord intended.
I have to tell you, 75 miles per hour, I passed in that area, I passed a lot of Raptors, Bronco Raptors, a lot of Jeeps. I was very happy with the highway manners of the in-spec ethylene oxide specialties Grenadier versus those other cars.
Really? Even the ride is good, but not the steering.
I think the steering is better or on par with the last Wrangler I drove.
Because the Wranglers are circulating ball steering.
The trade-off, I mean, the steering on the Bronco is much better, but it's so loud on the highway. At least when I drove the Badlands, like it was too loud to have a normal conversation. The Ineos is definitely quieter.
Yeah, but
I don't remember the Raptor.
You mean with wind noise?
Wind noise. The wind noise in the car was nuts.
Well, with the Bronco, it's like when the panels are designed to be removable, like by hand, they don't need to fit together as tightly.
I think they're probably thinner
and they're lighter
in some way. I mean, they have their ability. It is one of my only real complaints with the Bronco is the noise on the highway was like quite deafening. So this is pretty comfortable, and the ride is fine. So the email I got, on the same show that we recorded in the in-spec ethylene oxide specialties Grenadier. Yes, I'm going to keep doing it. I asked the world.
The last time I'm going to make you do it without looking at the screen.
Oh, man. Okay. It's going to be tough. I asked the universe of the podcast universe why when I'm reversing in my wife's RAV4, the front sensors go off. But when you drive forward and you're close to something, the rear sensors do not alert at all. And someone who worked for Toyota, I'll leave their name out of it, they're an engineer for them, had a very simple answer that when I read it, I went, oh, that makes so much sense. So this is true for basically all cars. The front of the car is a leading edge. So most people when they're reversing are looking at the camera or they're over their shoulder. They're not looking forward. Oh. And if you turn the wheels, the front of your car will move.
You swing the nose of the car.
But when you pull forward, the rear of a car always follows the rear wheels. It doesn't swing out. So that's basically the short answer. Yeah. And it makes a ton of sense.
It's real obvious once you think about it.
But when you're operating the car, you're like, I'm going backwards. What is wrong?
Well, especially in the way you described, because you said you were parked with the nose up against a wall. Mm-hmm. You put the car in reverse, and the front parking sensors started going off.
And I'm going straight backwards.
So in that very specific scenario, this seems dumb.
Yes.
But if you're, doing some other maneuver where you're trying to reverse through a maze of cars, it would be very helpful.
Or if you turn the wheel too much and you swing toward the pillar of the parking garage, it goes, hey, you're about to hit me. And that's very helpful. The front sensor goes off. So it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. That's a good one. So it has been 2 years since I got my Spyder. The first weird thing happened. This one's kind of funny, and I actually got video of it. The gear indicator in the cluster for one cycle yesterday. I did 4 cycles in the car, meaning on. Like, I started it, I drove it to the gas station, I turned it off.
Right.
I started it, 4 cycles, right? On cycle number 2 only, it thought it was in the wrong gear. Meaning, like, I had the shifter in 4th, and the little gear on the gauge cluster was flickering between 3 and 4. And then I put it in 5th, and it said 4. And then I put it in 6th, and it said 6. And then back to 5, and it said 4 again. Same thing. And so
sounds like a sensor.
So when I would go into the gears that it got wrong, the check engine light would come on, and then when I'd put it in the gear that it was right, it would come back. It would go away. So next cycle it went away. It didn't come back. So I don't know if that's just like a whoopsie hiccup, or if it has to do with the fact that I have an aftermarket gear set. I don't know. Am I making myself paranoid? Or it didn't come back. So if something happens once and then never happens again, you go, and then that's it. But, like, we'll see.
I don't know.
First weird thing
my
ever.
gut reaction as a non-tech for cars is like, it seems like a sensor's confused.
Yeah, maybe.
Because it changed when you moved it, and it only had the effect on 3 and 4, but not 5 and 6.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, maybe there's a little electric thing that gets confused.
Maybe.
Because the gear set, I don't know.
It shouldn't change the position of the shifter.
Right, and it seems like it's based on the position of the shifter, but I don't know how that system works. Oh, that's weird. Look, of all the things that could possibly go wrong with the vehicle.
No, and it didn't change how the car drove. It was like no problems. But
It's like driving the new Vantage. You don't know what gear you're in, but that's okay.
So, but my car now has PS4Ss on it. You have new tires.
Oh, yeah.
PS4Ss. So, we put them on at BBI, and then I drove the car home, and I went to the Canyons yesterday, and it was the first run up Las Flores. The tires were still had stickers on them, basically. Like they still had that, So the first couple miles, it was just like traction control. So okay, all right, fine, no traction control, go away. Normally with the other tires, like you can really leave traction control on, like you're not breaking traction most of the time. So fine, traction control off. Now I'm getting like wheel spin in like third gear.
Really?
Yeah.
Where you were not with the other one.
No. And so now I've realized, I think, and they feel better after I did about 80 miles, and so now they feel better. Got some heat in them, and I think that we'll see the next time I drive it. But like I was like, the car now has wheel spin in third gear, whereas it only did in like certain situations at the very, very top. Now it does at like 6.
First of all, that's a blessing. Congratulations. That makes it exciting.
Yeah, it does.
But what is the tread wear rating of the old tires versus PS4s? Do you know?
Oh, well, they were R compounds.
Right.
Yeah,
so
and PS4. Yeah, but I was like, I'm not going to the track. I don't need R compounds. I was like, oh shit, wait, maybe we do.
Well, with 500 wheel horsepower, I mean,
yeah,
there's a difference.
Maybe there is a difference. Yeah.
I think we may also underestimate how sophisticated traction control is in some of the cars we drive that don't flash the light, but because we drive a lot of really fast, high-powered shit that have PS4s, and we don't really feel or see that light going off. McLaren's Corvette Z06, but maybe it's more active than we think. Kind of hiding.
Well, if you're putting the car into like track mode, say, it will have a reduced traction control versus like Tour or whatever. My car doesn't have modes. The manuals don't. The PDKs have different drive modes. The manuals don't.
Right.
There's no sport mode or anything. So it's at what it's at all the time. So yeah, it's very powerful.
Great.
It can overwhelm the tires.
Dude,
now.
wheel spin's fantastic.
Yeah, it's all right. It's pretty good. It's a good one, and it's very quiet on the highway. The PS4Ss, they're nice.
Yeah, those are good.
So we'll drive on those for a while, see how that goes, and if it's really not enough tires somehow, then we'll go back to the other tires.
I have Bridgestone Potenza Rs going on the new Apex wheels, like at the end of the week on my car, which will be very sticky compared to the Vredestein Hypertracks that are staying on the existing wheels.
Yeah.
So very sticky in time for winter.
How's the rest of that going?
Oh, the car looks like it was shot with a shotgun and then repaired. I mean, the amount of pits they filled.
Really?
Yeah. Like, it's now prepped for paint, for real. So they have a body. And have we talked about this on the show yet? I think, or did I just tell you?
I think maybe you just told me.
Okay. So my car had clear coat peeling all over the place. And to put a wrap on it, they're like, look, we could do it, but you're going to see all of these holes and pits that you have. I mean, I have 140,000 miles of rock chips, all kinds of stuff. And they said, to prep this right so it looks good and stays on for a long time, like what we should do is sand the clear down. I said, yeah, fine, because it looks like shit. It needs to get sanded if it was going to be painted anyway. But I didn't realize how meticulous they will be about addressing every little rock chip. So when I first went there, after them telling me they're going to do this, like the hood had 30 stickers on it that looked like they were marking crime in a city. And all of those stickers were places that they had sanded the clear and then filled a rock chip and then primered it and sanded again.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, the pictures are wild, dude. Like, it looks like a paintball match happened around my car.
Wow. We thought this was going to be like an easy thing to do, instead of painting the car.
Well, we did, but I mean, to their credit, 405 and East, who runs the place, like they told me this beforehand. This wasn't a surprise. I just didn't know it would look this way, but I knew that there was no turning back, and that's fine because the car looked like shit anyway. I didn't know how much attention was needed on cars with bad paint or bad clear coat if you want to put a wrap on it properly. Because if you have a car with good clear and it's newish paint or whatever, they don't do this, obviously. They just clay bar your car, they do paint correction, and then they put the film over it, and then when they take it off, it looks fine. But with my car, I would have ripped, so much laminate and so much shit off eventually. And the bigger thing is that they said is when you put down, like, essentially let's call it paint, but like if you put down brand new paint looking film, all of those little holes and bumps and things will be noticeable. Yeah. So he's like, why make the skin look perfect, but then what's underneath it like has all of these little cracks and things. So
if you lay a fucking sheet down on like a lumpy mattress, you're going to see the lumps.
Right, exactly. So they got rid of all the lumps. So right now it got washed today and they started putting film on the hood. But man, it's to see it is wild. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, on Instagram, doing raps looks not easy, but like fast. What? Wow. Oh, wow. No going back is right.
Yeah, like they sanded fender parts.
Holy shit, dude.
I didn't know there was anything wrong with the fenders, but there were chips on the fenders. And
this looks like the after in a fucking movie where it's like, enter, Zach drives his BMW through the wall.
Yeah, that is exactly right. If I can do...
Zach drives through the bank drives
drags
into
the vault
window.
out of the bank. Then he speeds down the road. The car is fine, but it looks marred. Yeah, it's sponsored by BMW. That's exactly what this is. This is
wow, that's gnarly.
It's gnarly, dude. I first saw it, I was like, holy shit.
So funny.
And I just didn't know.
God
I didn't
damn,
know
is that
the car
good?
had this many flaws, I think. That's what I really didn't know. I knew they were going to sand the whole car. I didn't know they were going to go,
right now,
here's everything that's wrong with your vehicle. Here's everything we don't like about it.
You're right now at the part of Bar Rescue where John Taffer is like, listen, motherfucker, all of this is your goddamn fault.
We're going to take all these tables out. Why? The
There's
tables are
fucking
fine.
Rats in there. There's cockroaches. Your wife is about to divorce you. The chef is fucking your daughter and on coke. And you need to know about all of it right now before we go to commercial.
But kitchen morale is high.
Yeah. And when we come back from commercial, it's like, check out your new sign.
Exactly.
And they're hugging.
Exactly.
They're hugging.
It'll be good.
Yeah.
It's like when someone gets plastic surgery, it looks real rough for about a month. I feel like that's what it's doing.
Yeah. You're on the flight home from Turkey.
I sat behind that guy. I told you. Guy with a hair transplant. He had like iodine stuck to his neck.
Yeah.
And I went, that guy doesn't know anyone in this bus, so he doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
But I'm behind him, and it's quite a thing to see. Yeah, that's what this looks like. This is fresh hair plugs. But in 6 months, that guy's fucking. Yeah. he's fucking the bar's daughter, whatever.
Yeah. Speaking of the Middle East, should we look at Bashar al-Assad's car collection?
Yeah.
Not quite the Sultan of Brunei. They what?
So they shot his plane down?
Really?
Is that
I don't know
why they have the cars now?
Oh, I thought the cars were like in a bunker. I just saw like not a bunker, like a warehouse or something. I just saw like a walkthrough video. Okay. Maybe it was like...
I thought they took down his plane, but maybe he wasn't on it. But the news says...
Guys, we got to take one more quick break for Delete Me. I have been messing with Delete Me, and I have seen the number of robocalls that I've gotten go down. I've seen the number of spam email that I've gotten go down, and Delete Me has helped with all of that. Delete Me is so easy. We put so much of our personal data out there when we're shopping online, signing up for stuff, buying tickets to things, using websites, making accounts on services, all that stuff. They then sell your data, right? They have data brokers that buy that data in bulk, and then they sell it, and that's how you end up with spam, phishing, like harassment. All kinds of things can happen when the wrong people get your data. So I got Delete Me. I made an account. I gave them the information about myself that I might want deleted from the internet, right? I gave them my address, my phone number, my email addresses, all that kind of stuff, my parents' info, my sister's info, my wife's info, etc. And they took a couple of days, but then they came back and said, we found like 1,100 possible instances of your dating out there or your data being out there. And and they started deleting stuff, and I had to approve maybe 20 or 30 of them, but the rest of them, they just went ahead and did it. It was great. And they follow up. It's not just a one-time thing. It's ongoing. It's a whole service, and it gets that stuff off those data broker websites and then keeps it off the data broker websites. So today you can get 20% off your Delete Me plan when you go to joindeleteme.com/tire. That's joindeleteme.com/tire, and then use promo code TIRE at checkout. That's the only way to get 20% off. joindeleteme.com/tire, and then enter code TIRE at checkout. That's joindeleteme.com/tire, code TIRE. And now back to the program. There is some good shit in here. It's not Sultan and Brunei level stuff, but there's a Ferrari F50 in there. There's a Diablo. Ooh. There's a LM002. A lot of Land Rovers. We can play the video for us to watch without playing it, so we get.
Wouldn't it be great if it was Robin Leach, like lifestyles of the dictator and famous,
lifestyles of the rich and sandy. Here we go. I like the train into the bunker. We've got art.
I saw this video.
We've got
4 cans of Pepsi.
Okay, here we go. Here we go. Cars. Let's full screen on the cars. Let's see what we've got. Okay, 7 Series BMWs. We got some Lexus Land Cruisers here. LM002.
FJ
a lot
Cruiser,
of Toyota FJs.
FJ.
S-Class Aston DB9. There's the Ferrari F50. I think that's a 430 Spyder, Zach.
Oh, what?
That's a 430 Spyder.
Look, it's 720p. It's moving fast.
I don't even think that's 720p. There's a Diablo. Mercedes 600 Pullman. Saddam had one of those too.
Looks like
we've got
Escalade. Cameraman's moving so fast.
Looks like a bunch of Cadillacs. There's an Audi R8. There's a quad, some kind of BMW X something maybe. That's a Mercedes SL.
Old quads, motorcycles.
SLS going. There's a Bentley GT. Some kind of weird.
It's got a couple weird RV. That looks like an armored RV.
Yeah.
More S-Class.
A bunch of S-Classes, 7 Series. Oh, there's a Rolls Ghost or Wraith. What is that? That's an Audi A8.
I think that's an S.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty good collection. Lots of Defenders.
New Defender. Man, this cameraman needs to calm down. Just too much espresso. Holy moly.
Yeah, but not bad. Pretty good collection going there.
That was like 40 cars in that garage. Probably.
Yeah.
A quick guess. That's a lot of cars.
But a lot of them are like, fleet cars, right? Like all the S-Classes and the A8s. That's like Syrian motorcade shit.
Right. You got to roll a little discreet.
Yeah.
And probably bulletproof.
There's probably some bulletproof in there. Yeah.
So the plane, there was a mystery plane that was shot down over Syria as Assad fled the country. That's why I got them mixed. So
on board was a Ferrari
F50
valued at what?
Maybe, yeah. No. But he was not on the plane.
F50 is that's a crown jewel of any dictator's collection.
That's a good car. I didn't like it as much as the 40 when I was young, but now looking at it and hearing the engine, I would prefer that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm an F50 man myself, mainly because I don't fit in an F40. But you know what I do fit in, Zach? Oh, I didn't put the fucking photos up yet. Should I talk about it? The Explorer ST?
Yeah.
Yeah. Been driving the Ford Explorer ST. This one is it's like 3 people at Good Vibes were like, what are you doing with that? But like several people who drive sports cars and sporty cars professionally, that's literally the car I'm driving, were like, you need to drive this because it's shockingly good. Is it shockingly good? Shockingly good. So it's a rear-wheel drive only Explorer, not all-wheel drive, and it has the 400 horsepower version of the 3.5 EcoBoost, basically the same as the Bronco Raptor, I think. And it's tuned very sporty, but it is a 7-passenger SUV. It also has massage seats for $57,000.
Wow.
I think it is the cheapest car I've ever driven that has massage seats. Although they are very noisy. They go. You can hear them. You can hear them going.
That makes sense. It's like the cooled seats in Dodge products tend to be loud above 2.
Yeah.
2 out of 3 fans are very loud.
So many people told me I need to drive this, and I was like, "What is this hype about?" So, long story short, is I don't really know what they're talking about. Like it's okay. It's rear wheel drive. So if you drive for say television commercials, and I said, "How is it?" You would go, "It's great," because you could probably slide it.
Yeah, at El Mirage on the dirt, you could slide it for a shot.
So if someone said who happens to drive in commercials goes, "You should try the ST. It's better than my Macan." It may be for a specific car commercially thing that does not apply to driving it around LA for a week. So anyway, here's the good thing. It's pretty fast. It's actually pretty agile. The steering is nice. It's got a pretty quick ratio and a good turning radius. The seats are really good. They're very comfortable. It's got a 3-zone lumbar. So you can do high, middle, low, and 1 through 10 on each.
That's awesome. So instead of having a slider that goes up and down with lumbar, they just have 3 different things.
Yeah, which is really nice. Driving position's very good. It's the 10-speed auto, which it's like, man, does that thing shift a lot. It changes gears all the fucking time. It's always shifting. And in the canyons, the car is actually set up pretty well to carry decent speed, but the gearbox just like you hit the paddle and it's like, I'll get around to it.
Really?
Yeah. So shifting it is like trying to tell your kid to take the garbage out. I'll get around to it, Dad.
It's got to be a programming thing because there's race trucks like F-150s with the 10-speed that shift fast.
The upshifts. Yeah. American cars with paddle shifters, the upshifts are always better than the downshifts. And the upshifts in this are good. The downshifts are bad.
Oh, that's the one that's lazy.
Yeah, the downshifts are bad. You need too big of a gap, and it's just sluggish. And it's sluggish in 2 ways. It's sluggish paddle to transmission, and it's sluggish in the shift as well. It's just not. It doesn't feel sporty. It's just lazy. It works, but it's actually better to just actually leave this gearbox.
It probably protects the engine because people can't downshift to redline and stuff like that. Not that people that own this are doing that.
In the canyons, the ride was really good. It was a nice, sporty, but very composed ride, and it had enough body roll to like tell you what it was doing. But the problem is a fast SUV really needs adaptive suspension. You need it to firm up in the canyon and be soft in the street, in the city. And this is a fixed suspension. And it's too stiff every day. So I drove to Hollywood for a Christian show last night. Man, it beat me up. It's for a 7-passenger SUV, there needs to be a suspension setting that's softer. Because it's just, unless you buy this thing, if you live where there's like really good roads.
Yeah, Arizona, something like that. Arizona comes to mind.
Well, Arizona doesn't even matter because there's no fucking corners there. But like somewhere where there's some kind of curvy roads and where it doesn't snow because you got to buy a rear wheel drive only SUV.
Right.
So like I'm not really. I get why they made it because they already had everything. It wasn't, it's an easy product to come out with. I see them on the street. People are buying them. I've seen them around. Wow. There's a couple in my neighborhood.
It's not a bad looking truck.
It's not bad looking, and it drives overwhelmingly nice. It's too stiff for me for something in the city. And maybe the bean counter said this must be under 60 grand. We can't put more. It's got to be, So I don't know why it doesn't have like magnetic ride or something, that is more adaptive with a soft mode and a sport mode. It has different drive modes, but like they don't really seem to do much. Like maybe it's just traction control, but it has
just
normal, sport, wet, trail, and eco. And like they don't really seem to be all that much different from each other, considering it's like a turbocharged engine and, you know, whatever. Like, it's a nice place to spend time, but it's just too stiff for me to be the kind of thing I'd want a daily in this city.
Can you get that engine in other trim levels of Explorer? Do you know?
I actually don't know.
Okay.
I imagine you probably can. I imagine there's an all-wheel drive, top-of-the-line
like
one that has the same engine.
Which would be more expensive, of course. So,
yeah. But I really like those seats. They're good seats.
That's a clever idea.
Yeah, they're nice. That's a good one. But and you're going to drive it for a couple of days, so you can tell us what you like. But what else did I write down here? Lots of This is not purely the Explorer. This also applies to the CT5 Blackwing and many other cars. I am so tired of cars using 4G, not having a satellite connection for their GPS. A car that's called Explorer.
Magellan wouldn't have got too far if he was out of cell range.
And I realize this is the ST. It's the road focused one. It's not but it's not that different from. It's not because it's the ST.
Well, the roads go to the middle of nowhere,
right? But the regular Explorer for sure. A car called Explorer should really have a satellite connection on its GPS, because the reason you need a car-based GPS is for when your phone doesn't work.
What's the most egregious, like what is the off-roadiest thing we've had that you remember that also had car-based GPS?
Rivian.
Oh yeah.
Rivian for sure.
I think they probably know that your battery range is limited, so you can't actually get that far out of the city. That's just a joke. Yeah. Like you're not getting that lost.
I don't know if the Ineos had satellite GPS. I didn't try to use it. I mean, all new GM cars. So we haven't been off-roading in a new GM car recently, but all new GM cars, I think, are LTE or 4G only. I don't think
connect navigation. I was trying to look real quick to see if Jeep has that, but. And of course, there's so many Jeep forums that are posting about aftermarket GPS systems like Gaia, but that's for trail running stuff. That's different.
We're talking about regular car GPS systems. Yeah. But like for a lot of years, when we did the BDRs, like we were able to use like onboard GPS systems on Jeeps and Fords, and
that literally helped us not get lost on All Cars One. That was 2012.
2013. 12 when we had the Grand Cherokee with the GPS. Yeah.
It's very helpful, but I understand your complaint, and I completely see why the business case from OEMs, because I bet it's cheaper to have a cell antenna. Yeah. They don't have to get a satellite supplier or whatever, and they can just run it off of cell phones. And then some of them just you use CarPlay so much they use that. So I get it. And there's way more cell coverage now. I mean, it's like 90% of the country technically.
I definitely go places that do not have cell phone service.
Sure, especially if there's a mountain between you.
Where most people live, there is cell phone service. Yeah. But like, it just annoys me. It's just the cheapening. I agree. It's the cheapening.
It is the cheapening, and it can be. And if it ever is a problem, it feels like it's a big problem. And that's the thing. Like if you're out in the middle of nowhere and you're lost, and your phone and your car don't know where you are, then obviously that's far scarier. Mm-hmm. And that's why my paper map business is going to take back off. Yeah.
I love a paper map, though.
We have a road atlas in every car.
Do you?
Yep.
I really would like to do a backcountry discovery route again.
They have new routes.
They do. They have Wyoming. This is a new one. I bet Wyoming's great.
Is it Grizzly Bears in Wyoming?
I don't know. I'd love to do Colorado. I want to do like half camping, half hotel.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
I don't need to suffer for it.
Grizzly bears in many parts of Wyoming.
And I would like to drive something, quite like very, very good. I like to drive a Range Rover. I like to drive a Range
Rover. Do you even want to camp?
What? No.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Not really.
That's really funny.
No. I will.
I saw a new Land Cruiser.
I will, but I won't
like
today. New Land Cruiser?
I saw one of those on the road today, which looks very 2035 kind of robot.
Sure.
The front, the headlights are like kind of
square-ish.
It looks
there's
like
two different Land Cruiser headlights. The 1958 edition, which is the base model, has round headlights.
These were not that.
The other ones have square headlights.
These were 2048.
Yeah.
Yeah, square headlights.
I've never seen a modern car with two different shaped optional headlights.
Oh.
Have you?
No.
When was the last time you saw that? Porsche slant nose?
That's true. Yeah, they offer different bulbs sometimes, but not different lights.
I've never seen different shaped headlights before in one car, but that's kind of neat of them. Should we go to the people?
Let's go to the people.
Is it their time? It's your time! Patrons, get in the fucking game. You know what to do. Patreon.com/The Smoking Tire Podcast. Get in the game indeed before the end of the year. And we jack the prices up. I'm just kidding. We're not going to jack the prices up. That. We're not. We're just going to adjust for inflation and profit. And we're just going to...
We haven't increased that. We haven't increased the prices since we began, right?
No. $1 across the board.
You're welcome, everybody.
Everyone's going to pay $1 extra. That's what we're doing.
Okay.
Right.
I can't tell if you're serious or if you're joking.
No, we're not. We're not going to jack up the Patreon by $1. No.
There's no point.
We are going to add a tier at the very bottom that's $1 a month, just because. See if we pick up a few extra fish.
Just tips.
I've seen other people's Patreon pages, and the lowest tier, you don't get anything.
Really?
The lowest tier, which is usually like $3 or $5.
It's the hat tier. It's just throw $1
It's literally like,
tithing.
Throw me money because I have to make this shit. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Which, like, I wouldn't like to have a tier that's for nothing.
No, I like providing some sort of service.
And I would like to go back and ask those people what percentage of their patrons do the nothing tier.
Yeah.
It's probably not a lot.
If you want to give us $1 a month for nothing, I would say wait 2 years and buy a T-shirt. I'd rather you do that.
Sure.
You know, keep getting the content for free, and then eventually buy something that costs $12. That way you get something instead of just giving us $12.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah. We don't need your money.
I'll sell you one of Matt's watches for $12.
Except that we do.
We do.
We do.
We do.
Yeah, we definitely do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's no joke.
I have wheels to pay for. You know?
Yeah.
I got wheels? I got a discount from Apex, but they weren't free. Apex.
Yeah.
They're like 6 pounds lighter or 7 per corner.
And they're 18s or 19s?
18.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not doing that rubber band. Yeah,
sidewall. So, yeah, the Patreon is where it's at. If you want to get an ad-free experience, if you want to ask us questions for the show, ask our guests questions, you'll get the show ahead of other people at certain tiers. You will get, what else do you get, Zach? Early access to special super secret merchandising and collabs, and a whole lot more. So let's get to them. Engine Nerd. What EVs are the best for rear-wheel drive shenanigans like burnouts, donuts, and drifting? That is a very good question. I think the best EVs for burnouts, donuts, and drifting, I think you've got your Elantra N, which is great for drifting. Mm-hmm. The Tesla Model 3 Performance is very good for drifting.
You mean Ioniq N?
What did I say?
Elantra.
Excuse me. Yeah. Ioniq 5N is great for drifting. Model 3 Performance, great for drifting. And I had my first ever drift in an issue of Road and Track.
Oh, cool.
Printed big smoky slide in a Model 3 Performance.
The Lucid will do it, but you have to be in a closed environment or going very fast.
Oh, yeah.
It's all-wheel drive.
That car slid a lot during that, too. Then the Mach-E Rally. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have rear-wheel drive shenanigans, but on a loose surface, that is. Go watch our video of the Mach-E Rally. Just exceptional on a loose surface. So good. Yeah. Is there another EV that's like good for that? I mean, the Ioniq 5, they're coming out with like a rally one.
Well, and eventually Porsche is going to come out with the EV Cayman thing, right? So that'll probably be pretty good for douchebaggery.
Yeah. We're going to need more Advil. Good username. Hey, okay. Asked a few weeks ago, bringing it back. What, if anything, would I miss going from my F80 M3 to a new Blackwing with 6-speed, CT5 Blackwing, 50/50 track days and daily drivers? I'm told the Precision Pack will be nearly impossible to get. That's fucking horse shit. Should I consider a CT4V Blackwing instead? CT5V Blackwing, the video went up today. Thank you for the edit, Zach. I was ultimately not able to get usable footage from GM. Unfortunately, the PDR at this time isn't really set up to do what I was told it could do, which was basically just record my whole session and export, which it can't do. It's really for a learning tool, and so they can only export these sort of lap comparisons. Anyway, the car is still extremely rad, and I would try very hard to get a precision pack. I think you can. I would start looking in cold climate dealerships. Fucking like Ohio and shit. Yeah. Minnesota. You may have to go, buy one in a different part of the country and ship it home.
Especially now, December.
Yeah.
People are not shopping for rear-wheel drive. 700 horsepower sedans right now. Ooh, good idea.
On Cup 2s. the precision packs. Free Cup 2s included with precision pack. Optional. I would you miss anything? No. I think you would. If you love an F80 M3, I don't see how you wouldn't love a Blackwing with precision pack. It's just more of that. I just wrote a story for the next issue of Road and Track that it centers around the fact that Cadillac has been chasing the ghost of the E39 M5 and has, in fact, far, far surpassed that car at that thing, whereas BMW, which was the ultimate driving machine that they went and chased, have basically abandoned that type of car almost entirely.
Yeah,
and they're chasing the ghost of the E39 M5.
Cadillac's like, we beat you, and BMW goes, oh, we're not playing that sport anymore.
No, a Blackwing performance pack is easily the best sedan on sale dynamically right now. It is so fucking fast, and it handles beautifully, and it's nice to drive slow also.
And I would say try to get the CT5. Don't settle for the CT4 until you've exhausted your search, because the CT4 is really good, but it's so similar to the F80 in my opinion, it won't feel that different, whereas the CT5 with sound, torque, power is going to feel like a new experience. Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah, the CT4 Blackwing is an upgrade from the F80 M3, but only slightly,
Yes.
Max Lyall, if Ineos is doing the 30-year-old new car thing, meaning they're basically selling a 1990 model car today.
Inspec Ethylene Oxide and Specialties is doing a new,
there we go.
Excuse you.
If they're doing that for off-road, who's currently making the closest sports car equivalent, or who should be? Pretty good question there. The closest thing you could get to a sports car from 1990 is...
But for reasonable money also. Let's go with that. Because, Singer is doing great vintage stuff.
For
but
sure.
It's $1 million.
I mean, like a BRZ or something like that. A fairly basic gas-powered manual transmission... low-ish power sports car. Fucking Miata.
Miata's still doing the same thing.
The same shit.
Guys are still doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and you can front-wheel drive
the 911 ST. You start it with a key. It's got the older pull handles. Yeah. It's got a manual. It's got...
I feel like it's hard to include $500,000.
I understand.
I agree with your statement. I think BRZ is great because there were 20 sports cars in the 90s at affordable rates, and now there's like 2. Yeah, where it's narrowed a lot, and the front wheel drive cars are so much bigger now. The Elantra, and it's a great car. But it's big.
But there's also like shit like Chimera, and these companies doing. Not necessarily resto mods, but new like tribute vehicles, like the company that's doing that Lancia Delta Integrale 2-door thing. So there are companies that are making essentially brand new versions of literally.
Caterham is making the same thing they've been making for a long time.
Yeah. Henry Beck says, 22 years old fan from Boston. Looking to get my first car after I'm getting my first job in San Diego. Looking for a cruiser commuter under $10,000. Want to maximize uniqueness and cool factor. Minimize upfront running costs. Willing to do some repairs myself. Wow. Okay, so He wants cheap, good.
You want a Radwood car.
Cheap, good, cool, 10 Gs. It's not a lot of money.
Volvo wagon, old.
Yeah.
Old Volvo wagon.
Volvo wagon.
Diesel, manual.
Mercedes 300D.
That also great, better looking.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would work.
Possibly Lexus LS 400.
Yep.
You can get an okay one for 10, pretty decent one.
Can you get an Integra 4-door from the 90s for 10? Probably.
So, our Russell.
Yeah.
He has a like a 98 4-door. It's a GSR, I guess.
Oh, he does? I thought he had a 2-door.
Is this a 2-door?
Yeah.
I thought it was a 4-door. Is it a 2-door?
Yeah.
The silver one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's a 2-door.
I just thought like a 4-door Integra would be way cheaper.
His was really nice with 50,000 original miles, and it was 17. So you get one with 150,000 miles.
Yeah, you could. It would still work. I mean, look, this person's buying a sub $10,000 car that they're going to beat the shit out of in the sun. I think, it doesn't have to be nice.
Yeah.
But if you want cool and cheap and reliable,
how about an E46 330 CI?
If you could get one for under 10, I'd be
really 325 CI.
Yeah, probably 325 CI. But you probably could. They've come down a bit, so that's a good idea too.
Mm-hmm. Alex Garcia, living in New York City, has a 2012 Golf TDI with a manual, starting to show its age, considering a Mark 7 Golf R. Any other hatchbacks or sedans I should consider for under $30K in the city? I don't drive in the city. I only use the car to get out every now and again. Prefer a stick. I mean, there aren't a lot of You know all the hatchbacks. The problem with this question, and I don't mean it's a bad question. I just mean that you can list them all on one hand. You've got your Focus variants, which have been out of production for a while, but
your
are still
Veloster
around.
variants,
Your Veloster variants, your
old.
Volkswagens, and then everything after that is kind of like compact crossovers.
Or you'd have to go older, like 2011 STI as a hatch, but that's the same. Like if you want a newer car, I mean, Golf R is such a good car. That's just a great overall car. You already like
Golf
the Golf
R is
obviously.
a good car.
It's not very different from what they currently own. That's the thing.
I mean, maybe an A3 or an S. Can you get a used S3? You get a couple of years old, 2022 or 2021 S3. I don't know. $30K would be big depreciation on an S3, but that an S3 is just a nicer Golf R. I mean, it is a better car than a Golf R, but mechanically it's similar.
I mean, there's S3s for under 30 all day on Cars and Bids.
Okay.
Yeah, they're
S3s are
sold
nice.
for 28, sold for 18.
There we go.
22.
I think you'd like an S3.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's a nice graduation.
It's not a manual, I'm sorry to say. It is automatic only. But
I think I would also want more info. Do you need lots of the Veloster is awesome, but it doesn't have a ton of space in it.
Yeah.
It's super cool, but it doesn't have a ton of space. Golf R is the livable vehicle that can kind of do everything, but if you need more space than that, you have to get a bigger thing like a Forester.
You get a brand new Elantra N is like $33,000. I bet you could find one with 10,000 miles on it for $27,500.
That's a great car.
So I like Elantra N's also. Manual, fast, fun.
Yeah, and
good
still
cars.
ride well enough that the city wouldn't beat you up too much. Just kind of long, so hopefully you don't have to parallel park.
Cass Cone, living outside Toronto and getting dumped on. And by that, he does not mean snow. He means he's under a glass table. What? Keeping this in mind, this is a Jim Norton joke. Keeping this in mind, can you think of anything more fun than a GR Corolla for an all-weather car? Currently driving a Macan GTS. But I think a Corolla GR would be an excellent all-year car.
Of course.
Snow tires would be a beast.
Yeah. It's the Subaru recipe. I mean, the Macan's great because you have more ground clearance, which is very helpful if the snow gets super deep. But, dude, snow tires on a GR, I mean, you will not have more fun in a car, I think, than that.
We did put Blizzaks on Nick's Macan S, and it was a beast.
Yeah, it's a great way to get around. But if you want to have fun and slide around when it snows, put Blizzaks on the GR. But you can just play with it more. I
mean, here's the thing: if you have the budget, then a 911 is a more fun year-round car.
You think so?
Yes, a 911 on the right tires can go anywhere in the snow. They're so good in the snow. They're fucking boss, and they're fun. They're fun to slide in the loose surface. So if I was rolling like that, I would be perfectly happy driving a 911 all year, especially a Dakar.
If you could, yeah, there you go. I would like to be a little higher off the ground. I high centered my STI, on the snow. So I would like more.
Oh, did you?
I did.
Yeah.
So Dakar is good.
Sloppy Toppy 5000 with a great question. If you had ended up on Pimp My Ride 20 years ago, what random detail about your life at the time would West Coast Customs have run hog wild with for that car build? Wow, 20 years ago, I was 23, just graduated college. I probably had just moved into New York City, moved out of my parents' house. I think my life at that time was pretty well defined by weed. And so Exhibit would have been right there. He would have been like, hang on a second, bro.
He's going to build you his dream car.
Stand back, brother. I got this. Exhibit would have 100%. I heard that you like to smoke weed, sir. So I fucking turned your car into your car is a bong.
Well, your headliner would have been an Eddie Vedder psychedelic poster, blacklight, probably.
Pearl Jam doesn't have psychedelic posters.
Someone's made one.
There's probably one somewhere.
Yeah, you'd find one on the market.
Yeah.
I think that would be an element.
Yeah.
It would just be blacklight.
What would your 23 or 22-year-old self
I was
have put on?
Snowboarding. I was wearing a lot of really puffy jackets. I wore a puffy white jacket. I wore a crooked out beanie, and I had a white STI with gold wheels, and I thought I was a champion.
What if you had an interior made of starter jacket?
They'd go. Your whole interior is down. Your door cards are down.
A down interior.
It'd be a down interior,
sick.
but they'd put a blender in it for protein shakes because I was lifting like a lot at the time. I had very little responsibilities.
Yeah.
And then there'd be like
a blender.
There would somehow be a table in the trunk where I could wax a snowboard before I go up to the hill. It would like pop out, and the iron would have a battery to turn the iron on. It would probably catch fire. Yeah, that's what it would be.
Yeah. Oh.
Be so warm in that car.
Oh, man, that would have been fun. Justin C. says, how about the Ineos and a Myers-Manx as a unique and timeless-looking two-car solution? What would be the possible price range for that combo? That would be about
what does the Manx start at?
For a Volkswagen-engined one, I think it's around 50 or 60 grand.
So it's probably 150 to 200.
Yeah, for a Volkswagen one.
For the Myers Ineos.
And a Volkswagen one is good. I drove a Volkswagen one. It's very cute. It's lovely. And actually went faster than I thought it was going to go. Alex Brown says, looking at a new Nismo Z, but with Nissan in hot water at the moment and the Supra being discontinued for a couple of years, what other cars should I consider that will give similar experience to the Supra and the Z in that price range? Don't want a Mustang since my buddy already has one and I want something different. This is so similar to the hatchback question. Mm-hmm. It's like the market is so contracted on this stuff now that like there's nothing I can tell you that's new here. I'll try. What else would you could do is a Z4?
Well, it seems like they're shopping for a new car.
A new car.
So it can't go a few years old, unfortunately.
I mean, yeah, the Z4 was nice on the road.
No, it was. I'm just
manual.
But how much was that?
$74,000.
That's a lot more. Well,
the Nismo Z was 66.
Okay.
And the Supra got up to 61 or 62 loaded. So it is more. It's more for sure. I mean, can we talk about Boxsters or Caymans because if you're willing to go used.
If you go used, there's way more options.
Yeah.
I mean, you could get a great Camaro SS1LE if you don't want the Mustang because your friend has a Mustang. You could get a used Cayman. You could get a used M2. You could get a used
C7
M3.
Corvette.
You could get a C7 Corvette would be fantastic. That's a good car.
Yeah, a C7. If you have Nismo Z money and you can get a fucking Z06.
Yeah, but you should get a C7 Grand Sport.
Right, but I'm just as a financial example.
Very
the
true.
C7 Grand Sport is the one you want.
Yeah,
for sure.
Do that.
Because like if you're talking about relatively compact front engine, rear drive, 2-passenger cars, that's what we're talking about here.
I think man, it's so hard. They're just two-door rear-wheel drive coupes are a dying species.
Yeah.
I think you could go like GR Corolla, which is fun. It's not the same, but it's fun and it's in the price range. Mm-hmm. It's a bummer.
Gruppa FBC. Thoughts on the Jaguar Type 00 concept? Did we talk about it yet?
No, we talked about the ad, and then but that was before they had shown the concept, I think.
I don't. I think it is an aesthetically pleasing general shape, although that sort of air conditioner thing they've done at the back is weird.
Yeah, that'll be gone when they're done, though.
And I mean, it's.
I think
it's not. Yeah.
I think that their ad campaign, if this was done intentionally, it's genius. They may have done what the Mach-E did. The Mach-E, they said it's the Mustang Mach-E, and everyone was like, how the fuck do you call? And half the world lost their mind. And it made everyone put eyes constantly on what the Mach-E was. And then when people drove it, the reviews got way more attention. If they had called it any of the other names we discussed long ago on that show, it wouldn't have got the press. So maybe they were smart and they went, let's put out this weird commercial. Everyone's going to hate it. Yeah. That way, when we unveil our car, everyone's going to be like, yeah, let's see what they did. I'm going to fucking get mad at it. I like
your theory here.
I think the car, I mean, it looks like a movie prop, but it's a good-looking one. It's got a long hood, and it has really short overhang in the front, and the cockpit's set far back. And if they did anything that was smoothed into production level that looked like-ish that, I think it could look rad. And in an era where the two-door executive coupe is basically gone, that's what they've debuted, which is not at all a departure from their roots, which is funny. They said they were going to do that in the ad. This is like kind of what they used to do. So it could be good.
I think the design is a little generic.
Oh,
I mean,
sure.
Yes, it's cab rear, it's raked back, it's got big wheels, and it's slammed low and wide fenders. So on an individual feature level, it has the things that invoke luxury GT. But like, you could put fucking any car company's badge on that thing and go, and I go, okay, there's nothing, and granted, maybe that's the point, or like, there's nothing about it to me that says Jaguar, and maybe that's the point, that they want to cast off their entire heritage.
Which I think you can't do that. I mean, I don't think
I wouldn't recommend it.
I don't think that's a good idea. I agree with you. I guess to me, when I look at this, it's like they just started carving the clay.
Yeah.
They're probably going to refine the hell out of it before it gets to production. In my head, I guess I'm being optimistic. If it has these proportions, but then has the curves and the shape of Jaguar that we like, then it could be good.
Jaguar is another one that I like to root for, even though they consistently, let us down.
But do they? I mean,
they don't.
No,
they actually don't. The cars don't.
Good. Yeah,
no, the cars don't.
Good.
People just don't show up and buy them.
Right.
My mom still likes her F-Type. I still think that's a great car.
Yeah.
I thought the F-Pace was a great car.
Yeah.
Even the XE or XE, XF? XF.
Both.
Yeah.
Like the XF was the bigger sedan that we liked
the small one.
The small one's the XE.
The XE, that was actually pretty good too.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time I've seen one on the road.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so far from being a car you can buy right now that I almost just don't give a shit. I don't really, you know what I mean? Like, I don't really care. Like, there's so many people that analyze these sort of designs that are like nothing near what you actually buy.
Right.
So like, I didn't say shit about the electric Dodge Charger until I saw one out at Bondurant and then went, fucking yikes, that's no good. But I, you got to see it in person, the one that you can buy.
Right.
Wait, go back. Yes, I have 7 cats. Does the BMW gear shift on the Grenadier bother you as much as it bothered me, or can you look past it on a low production car like that? Somewhere in between. On the one hand, I can absolutely look past it. And on the other hand, I think it's the only thing that doesn't visually fit in an otherwise aesthetically excellent interior.
Totally. It stands out like a zebra at a horse farm. You're like, I like the way it operates, but everything about that interior is designed a very specific way. And then you reach down and you grab this robot foot.
The BMW shifter.
Yeah.
It's a thing that stands out. Yeah. It's definitely not the aesthetic that anything else in the interior is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like a different gearbox controller from that.
Yeah. What car were we talking about where they couldn't rip apart?
The Revology Mustang.
Oh, the Revology had it,
Yeah.
and also the the Grand Wagoneer.
Oh yeah.
I was like, how come they don't change this other thing? And he's like, we couldn't rebuild a physical thing that would talk to the engine part the same way.
Yeah.
Like, there's some things that are just built weird.
Yeah. Electronic gearboxes. Yeah. Diego Break says, have you experienced any cars or entire brands that seem to have exceptionally good microphone quality when taking phone calls? In other words, has anyone on the other end of the phone commented on how clear you sound even though you're in a moving vehicle? I think there's like a standard beyond which no one cares anymore. So once you get to like Mercedes, Range Rover level of microphone, it's like that's the best. They all use the same shit there. It's more convertibles. When I'm in a McLaren with the top down and can have a clear conversation, that's impressive to me.
That is very impressive.
Yeah.
I've never even tried that.
Yeah, I can do it. I can do it in my car too.
Oh, wow.
I can have a conversation with the top down.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Because for me, the wind noise, if I'm driving the car,
You put the windows
I get
up.
more distracted by the noise of the car, whether it's a coupe with windows up or whatever. I'm wondering if they can hear, because I'm hearing tire noise and stuff like that, but they probably can't.
Yeah. I'm sure it has some kind of canceling, but I mean, I wouldn't just have a 30-minute relaxed conversation, but I'm on my way to the store. Do you need anything?
I mean, I had a 20-minute phone call in the Inspec Ethylene Oxide and Specialties Grenadier Quartermaster.
Very good.
I did it without looking. But I did have a 30-minute phone call. It's pretty good.
And Bad Gardener also wants to talk about Jaguar.
This is an interesting stat.
Jaguar has allegedly intentionally alienated its existing customers in an attempt to reinvent itself. They claim they only plan on 20% of their future customers being repeat and 80% being first-timers per Harry's Garage. Can you think of a time that another car company has done such a drastic change? Did it work? Yeah, well, when Porsche went water-cooled, I would say that a lot of people did not like that. And it absolutely did work. I would say that when, again, Porsche built an SUV, a lot of people said that wasn't going to work, and that did work. Maybe when that's a tough question.
So what shocked me about this is when I saw a 20% repeat customer, I thought, holy crap, if you're trying to find if 80% of your customer base next year needs to be new, that seems like a huge problem. And I found a list on Forbes of, I guess let's call it brand loyalty, and it's actually really surprising. Like Jaguar is at 16%, and Jaguar's CEO backed this up. So Porsche is only 23%. Mercedes is 35%, and then the highest, second highest...
Subaru, Toyota.
Kia has the highest with 48% of buyers returning, and then Ford is the second highest with 46%.
Oh, wow.
Which I'm surprised that some of these brands that like Porsche is so low. That people, and not maybe that's tracked like their next car purchase isn't a Porsche, but maybe they keep the one they have.
Yeah.
Versus like if they're changing out their only car, are they going somewhere else?
Yeah.
It's weird.
I wonder if you have a Porsche, how likely you are to have multiple vehicles compared to someone who has, a Honda or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only other one, the real big one I can think of might have been air-cooled and water-cooled 911s. That was a very big one. Jack Mehoff. Excellent. Officer Jack Mehoff is an excellent username. If you had a wife-imposed budget of as cheap as possible, what is the sweet spot to get into 911 ownership? I mean,
996.
I've heard of
cab.
people getting cars for 30 grand, maybe a 996 cab, but like, God, that car's going to need stuff and it's going to be expensive and you're going to get annoyed.
What about a G-body convertible?
Not for 30.
No? A bad one?
You don't want a bad one.
I know, but I was trying to think of the cheapest would probably be a
like
less modern,
an air-cooled car,
bad car.
An air-cooled convertible with rust
Yes.
would maybe be 40. Yeah.
You know,
maybe less. I don't know. Maybe G-body convertibles are less right now. Maybe they've come down more. I haven't been watching them, but like, yeah, that would be great. I mean, let's look at cars and bids, and let's see what a G-body 911 convertible is going for right now. Wow, look at the rims on that Testarossa.
that is not good.
Let's see. 911 convertible. Go down. Do we have air?
Can I sort by
Years. Go to years. Yeah. What's the oldest? 81 is the oldest, so let's go to 89. So, sold for 37. Okay, here we go. Here's an 86 Carrera cab, 5-speed, sold for 51. And here's another one, 84 cab, sold for 37. So without looking too deeply into those, it appears that it is possible to get an air-cooled convertible in that price range. But, be ready for service. Those are expensive cars to maintain. But I'd rather have an air-cooled car, I think, than a 996 personally. Jack from Canada, do you think infotainment systems will ever be a serious factor in collector car values?
Yeah.
I do, but I hope that, like Porsche has started to do, making the stereos for the air-cooled cars, the stereos for Cayenne, early Cayennes and 997s. I hope that they continue to develop upgrade solutions so at least the car continues to work with your phone.
Yeah. That's the big thing.
But I think if you can, there's like E92 M3s where you had the optional no nav, optional no screen. I think the no screen will be more valuable.
Yeah, because then you can choose, you can just use your phone, especially if you have a big iPhone Pro or something. Because the screen on your iPhone Pro is not too much smaller than the E90 screen, and it's also just going to be higher res, and it'll update every time you get a new phone.
Yeah. Robert Banuelos, how do CAFE standards apply to a company like Ineos? If they offer only one or two vehicles that are gas guzzlers, do they not have to do fuel averages? I'm not really sure how it works with a company that only builds one car.
Especially with that small of production.
Yeah, I'm sorry I don't have the answer for you.
That may be the benefit of buying an engine from BMW.
00 Slow, looking for a fun manual car in the $30K range with 4 doors. Not scared about maintenance. Soft spot for the B7 RS4, but any cars that you should look at. I already have a V12 Vantage, a Volvo V90, and a Model 3 Beater. Okay. B7 RS4, not a bad choice. E92 M3 with a stick, also a great choice.
In the 30s, you could get a decent F80 M3 also.
You probably could. You can also get a passable E39 M5. You could also get a Chevy SS.
Man, those cars are cool.
Yeah, Chevy SS is rule.
It seems like you want a 4-door. Let's just stick with that, I guess, because he already has.
You could also probably get a 2009 to 12 CTSV sedan manual.
That's a good driver.
Yeah,
they don't look
great.
as good as the wagon.
They don't, but they are
driver.
Yeah. That shit stomped all over the M3 and the RS4 when it came out.
For sure.
Yeah.
And the RS4.
It's got 150 extra horsepower.
Yeah. And the weight balance is much better than the RS4.
I'd rather have a nice CTSV manual than an RS4.
You could get a decent C6, but not quite a good C7,
4 doors.
right?
4 doors. Yeah. Chevy SS manual.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Also that. Chris Nolke, With the new Blackwing going, would you each personally prefer to own the stick with no adaptive cruise in LA or the automatic with adaptive cruise? You can't configure the manual and adaptive cruise together. Yeah, that annoys me.
That's because Toyota, you can. I think on the GR and the other Corolla, you can get a manual with ACC.
Yeah.
That's
annoying. For in LA for a daily driver, I might just get the automatic. Yeah. It is a good manual. The clutch isn't very heavy. You know, if you're okay with the physicality of driving a stick around traffic.
I commuted from Santa Monica to here, 4 days a week, and with a manual car. And if I had an auto with adaptive cruise, I would have been a much more relaxed person. Like, it's just, you don't want to just sit in traffic like that.
Bush drives a 911. I don't know who Bush is, which Bush we're talking about. But starting January 1st, Maine is changing the minimum age for antique auto registration, which is exempt from inspection from 25 to 35 years. Do you think this is a justified move? Well, 25 years is
it's 99.
Yeah.
It's not that long.
A car that is a 99 is not an antique, in my opinion. I think 35 years much better defines an antique car to me.
Yeah. If the goal, because it seems like if the goal was to keep collector vintage cool cars on the road and give them a smog exemption, but most people wanted to buy a newer thing. Maybe it's like now that technology is not advancing quite as quickly. You know, if you buy a 1999 Corolla, like Camry, you're going, this isn't a collector car. You know, what are you doing? So that's really what it's for.
Yeah. I mean, and I think there's probably some cars, they can't retroactive, right? So, like, if you've got a car that's 26 years old and you already had the antique, they can't take that away, right? It's got to be new registrations going forward. And I have not read about this before right now, but I think that would be fucked. I think it would be fucked up if they took people's away that they already had. So I wouldn't like to see that done.
But it is an interesting sort of semantics argument of, like, how are they defining an antique? What does Maine's governing body see as an antique? Because it used to be based on years, and they're going, well, now we need to stretch it back a little further because these newer cars don't fit our definition of what an antique automobile is. That's kind of an interesting thing.
Yeah. Joel says, weigh in, daily driver E63 wagon versus Audi RS6. I'd probably want the Mercedes.
The RS6 is too stiff.
It just doesn't really do it for me.
It looks so angry and cool, though.
Oh, okay. Max Lyall says, as a South Australian, I will complete the ultra-high-powered vehicle license course and report back with my findings. If it were up to you, what would driver training look like for a course like this to actually be effective?
Ooh.
Well, you have to define effective. Is effective in raising revenue for the state, you know, giving you an excuse to write more tickets, or is effective increasing safety?
Right. If we're using Australia's goal, they didn't change any speed limits. There's no special lanes. There's no special permissions you get other than being allowed to drive the car. So that is different than what we want, which is, you know, special provisions where you can drive a certain way and drive faster. I mean, if we're going to do it here the way we want, I think you'd have to do multi-day driving schools. But there'd also be a lot of instruction on how are these rules going to how are you going to interact with the public on the 405 or on the 5. Mm-hmm. And obviously the general public would also have to be informed, hey, there's these special licenses. These cars might be able to do this and that, and you're not allowed to do this and that. So there'd have to be new training for everybody.
Yeah. For me, it would really focus on the license wouldn't be a thing that binds you because you have a high-powered car. The license would be a thing that ensures you are actually trained to handle that car. Mm-hmm. It would be a higher level of training. Let's do a couple more and then call this game. Keel and toe, at what price? Good question, actually. At what price does a McLaren 12C become an interesting risk to take? Most recent sales on Bring a Trailer are in the high 80s. Well, it's certainly over an $80,000 driving experience, but those cars you do not want an out of warranty one of those.
I mean, I assume they're all out of warranty too, right?
Oh yeah.
So,
no, I mean,
right.
yeah.
Okay.
Yes, they're long since out of warranty, but you do not want.
They had lots of different problems with lots of different systems. Some of it electronic, all connected.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even want one. I would be very hesitant to buy one even as a track car because some of the things that could go wrong with it still have to go to the dealership to get fixed, and they won't be cheap.
Yeah, it's just
they're at the bad intersection of complication without reliability.
I'd rather stretch 20 or 30 grand, and that I'm hypothesizing. I understand that's real money, but like, I think it's a better bet to stretch 20 or 30 grand and get a 570S.
Oh yeah.
Than to get the cheapest 12C around.
Yeah.
You know,
they fix some things. Car's better looking, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But it's just as fast and just as cool.
Yeah.
And the MP4 I didn't like the way it looked when it came out. It was for me, that was an impressive engineering car I drove, and I went, man, I can't wait till they make this pretty. Which is how I feel about the C8.
Right. Let's see. Let's see. Dodney Rangerfield. Manual transmission, rear drive, naturally aspirated experience for $25 to $35K. Priorities are engagement, sound, and a quality interior. E46 and M3 and Cayman S come to mind. I mean, yeah, you've got that. You've got your Z4M coupe and Roadster. Those are nice cars also. You've got all kinds of Corvettes. Quality interior is debatable, but if you can get into a C7, it'll be better.
Then it'll feel good.
Yeah. You might be able to get a CTS-V coupe. I mean, it's supercharged, but it'll feel linear. It'll be close.
Could you get an F-type?
Not a V6
F-type maybe.
V6S
maybe
coupe.
Yeah. That
would get there. Yep. So that's pretty much almost all of your good options in the modern world. It's hard being there's like I feel like we recommend the same cars over and over to people, and it's like it's just the condensation of the world of production sports cars. There just aren't very many. Is this all of them? Last three?
No, there's
okay. Oh God. Okay, we're not doing that. I have to have a brain
we have to do a
left.
show where we don't tell people we're doing a show and they don't ask new questions.
Sure.
And then we catch up.
Okay, cool. All right. Sam England was sorting through a box of my deceased dad and grandfather's stuff and found an old Longines watch belonging to my grandfather from 1938. It's a little haggard, but the movement still works. Who or what should I do for a possible restoration? I would start by Googling independent watch service in my city, whatever city you're in. And see if a watch repair place comes up that has a good reputation, good 5-star rating, 4 whatever star ratings. And I would call them, tell them what you have, send them an email, send them photos. And I mean, the good thing about movements from the 30s and that period is like they're fairly robust. Like they're a little, they're not as water resistant, but like the metal is like it's pretty like it's real metal. It's not plastic bits. And so typically a movement like that, if it's all there and it hasn't been totally rusted or fucked, it's just been sitting, a watchmaker can just disassemble that movement and they put the pieces in this little cleaning solution and they scrub them off and they can put it back together, lubricate the movement, service it, and you're good to go for another fucking 100 years. So yeah, that's really what I would do is I would just look for an independent watchmaker and ask them if they can do it. I'd keep the case, the dial as is. I would not restore, but the movement for sure. That's our little program, everybody. Thank you to the patrons for asking such good questions. We'll save the rest of these for our next show. My Cadillac Blackwing Precision Pack review is up on the channel right now. And what is the next video going up on Wednesday?
Sangue.
Yeah, on Wednesday we got the Ferrari Puro Sangue. Fucking forgot about the video. Like I completely forgot that we made the video. I bet it sounds nice in the drive-bys.
Amazing.
It's a loud vehicle.
As soon as I started watching the drive-bys, I went, if you're wondering why people buy this, watch this clip.
That's it. And it's very fast also. So check that out. And thank you to everyone supporting us throughout the year. Oh, I should probably say this in the beginning of the next episode, but heads up to everyone. We are going to take off the entire month of January from podcasting. We may air some videos on the channel, but we've never taken a break before. January is always a slow month, and I have a crazy amount of travel. I am not in America from January 6th until the January 24th.
Wow.
What I'm doing is setting up my alibi. Yeah, so
I'm leaving while you're like, let's see what happens.
I'm going out of town, so yeah, we're gonna take off podcasting for a month. We are gonna do our pro show that month because the patrons paid for that shit, so they're gonna get what they paid for with that extra show. So yeah, we'll talk about that again another day. But mark your calendars. Your podcast app isn't broken.
Yeah, and I'm not sure. I need to look into Patreon to see if they can like pause their payments or something.
Oh,
so
yeah, I don't know about that. I think people will understand. We've never ever taken, other than holiday weeks, we've never taken a break from podcasting before.
Yeah, this is episode 978, I think. So
yeah.
we'll be at 1,000 probably when we come back in February.
Yeah, we'll be getting close. All right, that's our show. Talk to you all later. We love you. Bye.